Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutali Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gurvani Pacharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paskatya Desatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhara Shri Vasudeva Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Nama Om Jai. So we are now continuing in our introduction to our book, The Science of Knowledge. And yesterday I didn't read Agastya's homework, so I'm going to do that now. And the homework was explain what Lord Chaitanya is telling Ramananda Rai in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 8.274 about the vision of a transcendental devotee, or the vision of a transcendental devotee. A transcendental devotee knows that we are not the body, but rather the soul. Everywhere, instead of seeing the forms of anything mobile or immobile, he immediately sees manifest the form of the Supreme Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 7.8, the Lord says that he is the taste of water, the light of the sun and moon, the syllable Om in Vedic mantras, the sound in ether, and the ability in man. So when a devotee drinks water, sees the light of the sun and the moon, or experiences any of the above, he immediately thinks of Krishna. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that an advanced devotee has no problem thinking of Krishna 24 hours a day. As far as movable and inert things are concerned, a devotee sees them as transformations of the Lord's energy. In Bhagavad Gita 7.4 it says that earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego are together the components that comprise of the separated material energies of Krishna. Nothing is actually separate from Krishna. Whether you see a tree, a donkey, a monkey, or a rock, all are part and parcel of Krishna. Whatever living thing we see is a hybrid of the two energies, which are the inferior energy and the spiritual spark. These are the body of the living entity and the soul. A devotee who has purified his existence through devotional service only sees Krishna. Okay, pretty good, Agastya, thank you. All right, so now we also have homework today. Oh, actually, I read you the homework that Agastya did for today. I didn't read the homework he did for yesterday. That's what I promised to read, so let's take a look at that. And the homework was, look up the references to knowledge given in the general index of Bhagavad Gita. Take notes on some important findings. Using these notes and what we have studied up to now, attempt to write the introduction to the book, Science of Knowledge. The introduction must have the following points. Explain why it is necessary to explain what knowledge is. Explain how to attain such knowledge. Okay. Here we go. The scientists try to think of the world as self-sustaining. There is no higher supernatural force behind it. Everything in this world revolves around knowledge, some say. The important thing is to figure out What is true and what isn't? There are so many types of fake, temporary knowledge, but what we really need is real, eternal knowledge, the highest truth. Everyone in the material world is hankering after false knowledge. Everything that modern-day scientists are aspiring for are temporary and not absolute. Krishna says yajgatva, which means that if you understand Krishna consciousness, which is also a type of knowledge, you will have complete knowledge, which includes knowledge of the phenomenal world, the spirit behind it, and the source of both of them. Good. This complete knowledge can only be attained if you are a devotee of the Lord and are in a disciplic succession that comes directly from the Lord. Scientists are learning about chemistry and biology and physics, but if we learn about Krishna consciousness, then all the types of knowledge are included. In Plato's allegory of the cave, the prisoners are shackled to a wall with a fire behind them and can see shadows on the wall in front of them. They believe that the shadows are the real thing, but that is half-truth. This can be compared to the material world and the spiritual world. Everything in the material world is temporary, while the things in the spiritual world are absolute. However, Plato's allegory of the cave is also a half-truth. In Bhagavad Gita 7.25, Krishna says that I am never manifest to the foolish and the unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, Yogamaya, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. This can be compared to the part in the allegory of the cave when one of the prisoners escapes and goes outside. Even though he is seeing the real truth, he decides that the half-truth is the real truth out of ignorance. So the theory of knowledge is that you should be the devotee of Krishna. It's not the theory of knowledge, the science of knowledge. You have to correct that. Be a devotee of Krishna, be in a disciplic succession straight from the Lord, and understand Krishna consciousness, and by this you will get complete knowledge. Since people do not know the complete knowledge, they make up their own knowledge. To avoid this, you must understand the two types of dharma, which are your material duty, lower dharma, like Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra, and your spiritual duty, higher dharma, which is to serve Krishna. The character serve Krishna without any material desire, only to please the Lord. You have to add that. The characteristic of all living entities is to serve Krishna. To get to this point, you have to follow a series of steps in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 23, 14-15. In the beginning, there must be faith. Then one becomes interested in associating with pure devotees. Thereafter, one is initiated by the spiritual master and executes the regulative principles under his orders. Thus, one is freed from all unwanted habits and becomes firmly fixed in devotional service. Thereafter, one develops taste and attachment. This is the way of sadhana bhakti, the execution of devotional service according to the regulative principles. Gradually, emotions intensify, and finally there is an awakening of love of God. This is the gradual development of love of Godhead for the devotee interested in Krishna consciousness. Very good. Next, in Bhagavad Gita 9.2, in the verse, it says that devotional service is the king of the most confidential knowledge. It also says that this knowledge, devotional service, is eternal. So this is another point. This is another reason proving that devotional service is false knowledge. You got that wrong, Augusta. It's not false knowledge. It is real knowledge. Like Prabhupada says in a purport to this verse, everyone wants to learn about maths, chemistry, biology, etc. There are so many schools, colleges, and universities that were founded for this purpose. Yet all this is just false. So you can't say that. It also says that this knowledge, devotional service, is eternal. So this is another point. This is another reason proving that devotional service is false knowledge. No, real knowledge. Okay. Yet all this is just false, temporary knowledge. People, instead of learning the highest knowledge, devotional service, are learning about how supposedly all their ancestors were monkeys and that they have a tailbone despite not having a tail. According to the introduction to the Upanishad, Ishopanishad, all knowledge is Veda, which means that all knowledge comes from the Vedas. Since most of the scientific nonsense is not stated in the Vedas, we can use this to figure out what is real knowledge. Anything that is not in the Vedas is not real knowledge, and devotional service is the highest knowledge. If you follow this, you'll be able to find knowledge and things that are fake, portrayed by pretenders as knowledge. Okay. All right, so good. In other words, what Agastya did was he added on to everything he's written already about for the introduction, and he added on things from Chaitanya Charitamrita. And good, very good, Agastya. Just correct that one sentence. That's that sentence basically is contradictory to everything you're trying to prove. Okay. So now today, I want to start by reading Shresta's homework, because I thought it was very well done. I mean, everybody's doing a good job, but I thought hers was exceptionally good. Let me see where it is. So I got homework today from Shrestha and Sanmukh, Riya, and I think Shrivani also. Oh, wait a minute. Let me see if that's today or yesterday. No, that was. Yeah. Okay, now where is Shresta's? I'm not seeing it now in my. Okay, I'm not seeing it. Why am I not seeing this? 1 second. Let me look one more time. If I don't see it, I can't read it. Okay, so Shrestha writes, explain what Lord Chaitanya is telling Ramananda Rai in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 8.274 about the vision of a devotee. Hint, in Bhagavad Gita chapters 7, 10, and 11, Krishna explains how to see him in the material nature. Okay, here we go. In Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila 8.274, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu explains to his devotee, Srila Ramananda Rai, the nature of a Mahabhagavata who is the advanced devotee of the Lord. The Mahabhagavata, the advanced devotee, certainly sees everything mobile and immobile, but he does not exactly see their forms. Rather, everywhere he immediately sees manifest the form of the Supreme Lord. Very good. Although what appears to the material eye is the body, a great devotee's vision is not attached to the material forms. On the other hand, the conditioned souls in this material world associate everything with the material body because they do not know the existence of the soul. Bhagavad Gita 7.25 explains how foolish man cannot see the Lord. Quote, I am never manifested as foolish and unintelligent. For them, I am covered by my internal potency, and therefore they do not know that I am unborn and infallible. End of quote. So notice he says, my internal potency. What is that? That is Yogamaya. Or also can be expanded to the Brahmajyoti. So we're covered by the external potency of the Lord, understood as Mahamaya, and the Lord is covered by the Yogamaya energy, which sometimes manifests the Lord's activities and sometimes does not. Okay. What is that perfect vision? In Srimad Bhagvatam 7:755, Srila Prabhupada says that the test of a perfect devotee is that he sees Govinda everywhere in this universe, even in every atomic particle. Adantarasta paramanu chantarastam. So that's Bhama Samhita 5.335, where Krishna says that he's present even in every atom of the universe. This is the perfect vision of a devotee. Just like when we are deeply in love with someone, we relate everything to see. We relate everything to see to them. No. When we're deeply in love with someone, we relate everything we see. We relate everything we see to them. I'm not so sure about that, but anyway, okay. The Mahabhagavat, who has deep ecstatic love for the Lord, sees him everywhere. Yeah, I'm not so sure about that. I mean, yes, the Mahabhagavat, who has deep ecstatic love for the Lord, sees him everywhere. But is it true that when someone is deeply in love with someone, when we are deeply in love with someone, we relate everything we see to them? Would you relate a baseball game to the person that you love? When you say relate, does it mean you describe it to them, or you see the baseball game as the person you love? I'm not sure what you mean. I think you mean that you will tell them about it. But if I'm wrong, you can send an email now, or a short explanation now to Daniel. And just this one phrase, just like when we are deeply in love with someone, we relate everything we see to them. So are you using the word relate in the sense that we tell them about everything we see, or we share our experience of everything we see to them? Or are you saying, like in the second part of that sentence, the Mahabhagavat, who has deep ecstatic love for the Lord, sees him everywhere? So let's say you went to a football game or a baseball game, would you see the person you love in that game? Or if you see a tree, would you see the person you love in that tree? What'd she say? Okay. Another reason why the advanced devotee of the Lord is able to relate everything to Krishna. Okay, now relate everything to Krishna. You use the word relate here. That is that you would see Krishna in everything you would see Krishna in everything that you look at. How it's either his material energy or it's his spiritual presence as Paramatma. So now I know how you want to use the word relate. I don't know if it would apply to someone that you love deeply, or that you love. Maybe I'm wrong, so you can correct me. Another reason why the advanced devotee of the Lord is able to relate everything to Krishna is that he is knowledgeable of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagvatam, which explain how to awaken Krishna consciousness within the heart of the living entities. In Srimad Bhagvatam 11.245 it is said, Sri Havir said, the most advanced devotees see within everything the soul of all souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Yes, what did she say?
What I
Okay. Yeah. Let's see. Just like when you're deeply in love with someone. No, the way to say it is like this. Just like when we are deeply in love with someone, we cannot forget them for a moment. That would be better. That's much clearer. The Mahabhagavata, who has deep ecstatic love for the Lord, sees him everywhere. Well, thinks of the Lord constantly, and through the eyes of Shastra sees him everywhere. That would be a more, I think, correct way of saying it. But I'm not discounting what you said, but it leaves a doubt in my mind. Just like when we are deeply in love with someone, we relate everything we see to them. Okay, can you read again what you said?
What I meant to say is that the person is constantly thinking about them whenever they see me. For example, if you went to a game...
Wait a minute. Just read that sentence again. Begin from the beginning.
What I meant to say is that the person is constantly thinking about them whenever they see me.
Okay, so if you're watching a baseball game, still you're thinking about the person you love. Yeah, and then what did she say after that?
If you went to the game, you would think about how the person likes football games, something like that.
Okay, so, but the main point is you're always thinking about the person that you love, no matter where you are. Okay? In the same way, a Mahabhagavat devotee always is thinking about Krishna wherever he is, and everything he sees, he understands through Shastra that it is either the material or spiritual energy that both belong to the Lord. So okay, all right. Anyway, I got it. In the Srimad Bhagvatam 11.2.45, it is said, Sri Havir said, the most advanced devotees see within everything the soul of all souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Consequently, he sees everything in relation to the Supreme Lord and understands that everything that exists is eternally situated within the Lord. The advanced devotees who have realized the teachings of the Bhagavatam truly know that everything comes from the Lord. These scriptures also provide various examples of where we can see Krishna within the material nature. Krishna himself speaks in various parts of the Bhagavad Gita about ways he can be remembered in the material nature. Okay, so then she states, in Bhagavad Gita 7.8 to 11, Krishna explains the following points. He is the taste of water, he is the light of the sun and moon, he is the syllable in the Vedic mantras, he is the sound in ether, he is the ability in man, he is the original fragrance of the earth, he is the heat in fire, he is the life of all that lives, he is the penances of all ascetics, he is the original seed of all existence, he is the intelligence of the intelligent, he is the prowess of all powerful men, he is the strength of the strong, that which is devoid of passion and desire, he is the sex life, that which is not contrary to religious principles. In Bhagavad Gita 10.20 to 39, Krishna again explains more of his qualities. Of the Adityas, I am Vishnu. Of lights, I am the radiant sun. Of the Maruts, I am Marichi. Among the stars, I am the moon. Of the Vedas, I am the Samaveda. Of the demigods, I am Indra, the king of heaven. Of the senses, I am the mind. In living beings, I am the living force, consciousness. And there are much more examples given by Lord Krishna that would be impossible to fit here. Okay, good. So what I like about Shresta's writing here is that she's done research. She mentioning, and so did Agastya, and so did Sanmukh. So she's quoting 7.25, I've never manifested a foolish and unintelligent. She's quoting Srimad Bhagavatam 7.7.55. that perfect devotee sees Govinda everywhere in this universe, even in every atomic particle. And then she quotes Brahma Samhita 535. And then Srimad Bhagvatam again, 11.2.45. So that's very good. And now she's referring to 7th chapter, 8 to 11, and 10th chapter, Bhagavad Gita, 20 to 39. Very good. Krishna gives us all these examples in the Bhagavad Gita to help us attain perfect vision even within the material world. The Mahabhagavatas, who have realized this knowledge, always associate the taste of water, the light of the sun, etc. with the Lord. A conditioned soul may argue, I do not believe in God because I don't see him. Well, Krishna himself is showing through Bhagavad Gita chapters 7 and 10 about how we can see him through things in the material world. One who achieves perfect vision also attains the quality of equality, samadarshana, because he sees all living beings as the part and parcel of the Lord. In Bhagavad Gita 5.18, it is said, the humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater, or an outcast. The modern world strives for equality through equal pay for women and men, equal rights for people of all sexual orientations, etc. But they do not understand that the eternal concept of equality is explained in Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport, Bhagavad Gita 5.18, that these differences of the body are meaningless from the viewpoint of a learned transcendentalist. This is due to their relationship to the Supreme, for the Supreme Lord, by his plenary portion as Paramatma, is present in everyone's heart. Such an understanding of the Supreme is real knowledge. Yes, that's a fact. Krishna is the goal of all knowledge. And that's said in 15th chapter Bhagavad Gita, 15th verse. Vedaischa sarviraham eva vedya vedanta krit vedavit edvachaham. So he is to be known by the study of the Srimad Bhagvatam. He's the goal of the Bhagavatam. And he's a compiler of the Vedas, and he also knows the Vedas. And he is the source of all knowledge. Sarva Shichaham Hridi Sanivisto. He says, I am present in the heart of every living entity. From me come knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So he's the source of all knowledge for all species. As a recap, here is everything that explains the qualities of a transcendental devotee. The transcendental devotees are not attached to the material perception of the body. They have perfect vision, or they see the Lord in everything. They have devotion for the Lord. They are aware of Krishna's teachings in the Bhagavad Gita chapters 7 and 10, which show the living entity how to see him, how to see Krishna in the material nature. They have developed the quality of equality, samadarshana, seeing with equal vision. Okay, that was pretty good. And thank you very much, Shrestha. So, also Sanmukh and Riya. Yeah, also Riya did her homework, so very good. So today I want to discuss a little further. I will read everybody's homework in the last 2 days, and then I'll give you some corrections or some tips how to make them better. Although all of them are pretty good. So today we're going to discuss something else that's very important. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1, the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Janmadasya yata niveyad yataratas charte sovigya swarat tene brahma hridaya adikave muyanti yatsuraya tejo varimidam yata vinimayo yatrachi sargo misha dam nasvena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dimai. So this is an extremely important verse. It's the first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, and basically it summarizes everything that's in the Bhagavatam. So let's read the translation. So it says, "O my Lord, Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva." So this defines who Krishna is. He's the son of Vasudeva. So, are you the son of Vasudeva? No. Am I the son of Vasudeva? No. Is Trump the son of Vasudeva? No. But there is some unique person who is the son of Vasudeva. That's Krishna. So, it's not Lord Shiva, it's not Lord Brahma, it's not Lord Indra. It's a person named Krishna. And it says, "O my Lord, Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva, O all-pervading personality of Godhead." Well, that means that we're talking about Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who's all-pervading. What does that mean, all-pervading? That means he's present everywhere, in the spiritual world and in the material world. In the spiritual world, in his original transcendental form and his expanded forms as Narayana, he's present everywhere in the spiritual world. And then it says, oh, I just got homework from Shritan. Very good, Shritan. Okay, so then it says, "O all-pervading personality, God, I offer my respectful obeisance unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth." Okay, so he's a personality of Godhead. He's a unique person, the son of Vasudeva. His name is Krishna. And he is the absolute truth. And Vyasadeva says, I meditate upon him. He is the absolute truth and the primeval cause of all causes. So that means that the buck stops with Krishna. That was a famous saying in America, and Harry Truman said that also, President of the United States. He says, "The buck stops with me." That means he's got the final say. As far as the American government goes, or as executive powers goes. So, when in war powers, he's got the final say. He doesn't have the final say in as far as the budget of the United States. That's the House of Representatives. He doesn't have the final say as far as the election of Supreme Court judges. That's the Senate. But he has the final say for the army and the military. So they were at war, and he decided that he was going to bomb the Japanese with the atomic bomb. So the buck stops with him. He had the final say about that and other things. Okay, so he is the cause of all causes. Of what? Of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. In other words, he's the original cause of the creation. He is the maintainer. That means sustenance. And he is the person who winds it up or reabsorbs it. So creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes. That's the material world. The spiritual world is never destroyed. So it's always manifest. And he's the source of that also. And then it says he's directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations. In other words, through his transcendental senses and mind and intelligence, he's conscious of everything, directly and indirectly through the eyes and ears of all living entities, such as the sun, Surya, and the moon, Chandra, and the demigod planets, Indra, and the earth through the eyes of all the people, and the mind of all the people. So Krishna is aware of everything. And it says he is directly and indirectly conscious of all man, and he is independent because there's no other cause beyond him. So sometimes people try to trick younger devotees and dazzle them with some nonsense philosophy. So they say that, that you say everything has a cause. So, who's the cause of Krishna? Well, we don't say that everything has a cause. We say that Krishna is the cause of everything. So let's get that one thing straight. See, they start with a false statement, and then they got you, because you say, yeah, we believe everything has a cause. Okay, then who's the cause of Krishna? Then what's the cause of Krishna? So then you're stuck, because you said yes to a false statement. What we say is that Krishna is the cause of everything. We didn't say that everything has a cause. Is there a difference between the two statements? Yes and no. Krishna is the cause of everything, then he's the cause of everything else. But that means he's the original cause. But if you say everything has a cause, and they say, well, what's the cause of Krishna? Well, you're stuck. You agreed to something that's actually a trick question. So what we're saying is that Krishna is the cause of everything. And there's no cause of Krishna because he's eternal. And then it says he's independent because there's no other cause beyond him. So if Krishna was caused by something, he would not be independent. He'd be dependent on whatever caused him. So you see, you have to understand what the definition of God is, or the supreme personality of Godhead. We don't just say God, because there are many gods. God in the sense of controllers, but Krishna is the supreme personality of Godhead. Okay. So he is independent because there's no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji. So Brahmaji is the secondary creator in the material universe, and he got all his knowledge from Krishna. It's normal, because Krishna is the source of all knowledge. Sarva Shachaham Hridivin Sanvivisto Matak Smriti Jnanam Apohanam. He's the source of knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So Brahma is the original living being in the material world. By him, meaning Krishna, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion. Well, we have the example. Shiva was illusioned when he saw Krishna's incarnation as Mohini Devi. Brahma was illusioned when he saw Krishna as baby Krishna. And Indra was illusioned when he thought that this little 7-year-old boy, he's going to be completely bewildered when Indra tries to destroy Vrindavan with the inundation. But the opposite happened. Indra was stunned because Krishna was able to stop even the most horrible clouds that Indra produced. Okay. So he says, even the great sages and demigods are placed in illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Now, what does that mean? That means that sometimes on a hot day when you're driving on an asphalt highway, or even a cement type of highway, due to a trick of vision, you can see water in the horizon above you, or as you're looking out your window, but there's no water there. It's an illusory representation of water. So oftentimes animals and human beings are tricked by this optical illusion due to bending of light and due to different levels of heat and cold. So you can look. In fact, your homework should be to understand why you see water in the distance on a hot highway in the summer, although there's no water there. It's a mirage. And then why do people on a ship let's say crossing the ocean, see land in the horizon. But again, it's like it would take let's say a bird 6 hours to. Well, no. When you're on a boat in the ocean somewhere on a sunny day, if you look in the distance, you think you see land, although there's no land there. So look it up on Wikipedia or an encyclopedia and try and figure out why people see water in fire or land in water. Okay? It's an optical illusion due to different degrees of temperature and the bending of light. Then next, by him even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by the illusory representations of water seen in fire, land seen in water. Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifested by the reactions of the three modes of nature, appear factual, although they're unreal. Now, this is very important. This is what we're coming to. There are illusory representations in the material world, and also that because Krishna is the controller of everything, the material universes, because there are many universes, not just galaxies, but many universes that are temporarily manifested by the reaction of the three modes of nature. So these three modes of nature are, in a sense, controlling people in their actions and even the material creation. So they appear factual, although they are unreal. So what does that mean? Now, when it says unreal, actually it's talking about sat and asat. What is not eternal is, in a sense, not real. It only has a temporary existence. For it to have, if it had eternal existence, it would be real. If it has a temporary resistance, it is considered unreal because at a certain point it will disappear. But while it's manifest, you can use it in the service of Krishna. Then it becomes real. If you use it in the service of sense gratification, it is still false. That's a little bit hard to understand, but anything that's separate from Krishna is false, right? Remember we studied that. When you say false, it does not have eternal existence. And it's going to disappear at one point and leave you confused. So then it says, I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, he's talking about Vaikuntha and Goloka, which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world. So there's nothing like mirages and deceptively misleading things that one sees, like tricks of temperature and distance and so forth. And so there are illusory representations of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. So your homework for next week is to read this verse, think about it, read the purport, and then use this information to add to the introduction. In fact, you can do some extra research. There are scientists that believe that we are somehow or other in illusion in the material world. Let me see if I can find that myself right away. 1 second, let's see. Okay, so, yes. The conscious mind and the material world on psi, P-S-I, and the soul. So there's a man named Douglas let me go back. It's Douglas Stokes. And he wrote a book, I think it's called Body, Mind, and Spirit. The contention that the physical world may be an illusion is logically irrefutable. That means you can't deny it. For instance, you may think you are a human being holding a book. Okay, so there you go. That's one. And so read up on this. There are people that believe the world is an illusion. So, Mayavadis also believe the material world is an illusion. We don't, but Vaishnavas don't say it's an illusion. They say that it's only a temporary. Now, what's the difference between false and temporary? Well, or false and illusion. An illusion is mistaking one thing to be something else. Just like you're looking in the distance and you see on the highway and you see water. So you take what you see, which is actually a mirage, and you accept it as water. So asphalt never becomes water. So now, therefore, you're accepting something for what it's not. That's an illusion. Or you look you're standing on a forest at the edge of a desert, and you're looking at the desert, and you see water. But actually, there's no water in the desert unless there's an oasis with trees. But you see water in the desert itself, on the hot sands. But actually, it's an illusion. Okay, so you're accepting one thing to be something else is called an illusion. Just like you see the body and you think that's me, but that's not true. Now, the Mayavadis consider this entire material world to be an illusion. It doesn't actually exist. It's something false. That's not true. It's not false. And it's temporary, it has temporary existence. Now, what's the difference between false and illusion? Something false is when you say, I don't exist. That would be false. Because we can prove very quickly that you do exist by hitting you over the head with a chair or pinching you, right? And if you resist, that means you exist. On the other hand, something is an illusion. That is, you accept something to be something else, like accepting a rope to be a snake and then reacting to it. Okay, now false is saying that it's giving wrong information about something. An illusion is accepting something to be something else. That's the easy way of understanding the difference. Now, is it equal? Is something false an illusion? Okay, let's think about that. No, not necessarily. Like, for example, I could say, I saw a man with 3 legs. Well, is that possible, that he has 3 legs? Okay, let's say I saw a man that had 1,000 legs. Well, that would be false. But you could say, I saw in a movie a man who had 1,000 legs. Well, that 1,000-legged man was an illusion, right? But the fact that I saw a man, not in a movie, but I actually saw a man with 1,000 legs, that would be false. Okay? So there is a difference between false and illusion. So that's why we don't say, or Vaishnavas don't say the material world is false. We say it's temporary. But we do say what is false is the idea that I can enjoy the material world and maybe even make a permanent situation in the material world. That is false. And that concept. Oh, well, no, it's not false. That is an illusory belief. Is there happiness in the material world? There is some happiness. So you can't say there's no happiness in the material world. But it's temporary. Can you make a permanent situation in the material world? No, you cannot. That's false. But can you be happy in the material world? Yes, but it's illusory because it'll be over and you'll suffer. So to understand the difference in false and illusion is something interesting. But what we want to do is understand here this first mantra of the Srimad Bhagvatam, and add the information that it's giving to the introduction. Why? Because it's making it clear that there are such things as illusory representations in the material world, and because of the reactions of the 3 modes of material nature, sometimes things appear factual, although they are unreal. Therefore, if we meditate upon Lord Krishna, we will not be tricked by these illusory things and false things. Why? Because we will have an absolute, let's say, criterion for judging whether something is real or false, whether something is illusory or false. What is that absolute criterion? That is Krishna. And that's that verse that we studied. Anything that is not in relationship to Krishna. Let's see what that verse says exactly. Anything that is not in relationship to the Lord. 1 second. Let me get the exact wording. Okay. Where is this? Sorry, taking so long. Yes. O Brahma, whatever appears to be of value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy that reflects that reflection which appears to be in darkness. Okay. So, anything that appears to be of any value, if it is not, or if it is without relationship to Krishna, has no reality. That means that it's not eternal. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. Okay. So, we have an absolute criterion. Whatever is not in relationship to Krishna has no reality. It's not going to be eternal. It's going to be a temporary thing that comes and goes. And our hopes to holding on to that thing are illusory. Our hopes of deriving happiness, uninterrupted happiness, is an illusion. Okay. So now you have what's called an absolute criterion by which you can judge if something is real or false, and if something is illusory. And now we want to add that to our introduction, because ultimately there has to be some clear-cut, let's say, criterions or principles by which we can understand what is real and what is false, what is an illusion that appears real but actually it's not real. Okay, so any questions? So I think you have your homework now. You're going to look up some scientists who believe that the world is an illusion, and there may be a magician behind it that's manipulating us. And number 2, you're going to read the first canto, first chapter, first verse, and establish this absolute or this infallible criterion by which you can decide whether something is real or false, or if something is illusory or an illusion. Okay.
Do you happen to have the verse number for the Brahma quote?
Yeah, that is, we already did this, but it's the second canto, chapter 9, verse 34. Second canto of the Srimad Bhagvatam. Srimad Bhagvatam, canto 2, chapter 9, verse 34. Anything else? Okay, thank you very much. And if you have any questions, you can always email me. All glories to Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.